let me ask this follow-up question to Lalit. Shubham is waiting for pandemic to get over. There are others who have accepted it as a new norm. Lalit, what are your clients doing? How are they treating the COVID? Are they waiting to get over, waiting for it to get over, or have they adopted, they pivoted to work in the new normal? And
Yeah,
what's your view?
very valid question. And I think adaptation to time is the most relevant thing, that if you want to kind of scale up and look at how you want to position yourself in the market. And we've seen in the last, in fact, COVID has changed a lot of things, and new ideas have come up. I think the idea that we were also sharing earlier before this call, new ideas have come up. Many industries that were not existing have kind of blooming in the situation. We've seen companies get into edutech in a very different manner, as in there was a phase after demonetization, we were talking fintech. And I think it's been a phase of edutech for the last 1 year, and then this run is going to go on for beyond a period of time. So that's something, there's a change in way education is looked at today, as in the way it was looked at maybe pre-COVID. Byju's did a lot of bit, as in what Byju's is getting in. But I think I'm kind of not very big fan of Byju's, but there are a lot of gaps out there. And I think a lot of startups are trying to fill in that in terms of how the home tutors are going to work like. So I've seen clients pivot into different business models, come up with different ideas. And there have been a lot of investor interest also. It's not just that the startup has gone done something. There have been a lot of investors interested in such models, and they're trying to build up on that. They have pivoted. Even the clients who kind of were having some kind of issues in terms of how to manage that situation, obviously there are ways to kind of, so there were a lot of news articles that we read that people have cut salaries and all of that. There were a lot of restructuring going on, a lot of people being sacked from jobs, people losing jobs. The startups that we have, they looked at it differently in terms of how can we restructure and also retain people at that point in time. So the ESOP plan is something that plays a very crucial role to kind of retain your team in that sense. So we did a lot of activities in terms of how to restructure. Is there some kind of model? Is there some kind of a forlong plan? Is how does the ESOP plan can help you? So we did a lot of structuring at that point in time, and a lot of clients were even welcoming, and they were kind of looking forward for such things. So one is obviously pivoting into new business ideas, but internally with the limited resources, how you can kind of come up with different things that can work on in your favor.
So, talking about ESOPs, Lalit, how can partnership firms like yours and mine can do more for their employees to stay back since we cannot issue ESOPs?
Very relevant question. First, we'll have to do private limited company and do all the kind of ESOP. But there are ways. In fact, a very interesting case. So as we said that we do a lot of outbound transaction where there are a lot of founders getting together. So one of the LLP agreements that we did, we bought in a vesting schedule even in an LLP agreement. Obviously, just like a founder agreement that we have, like Shubham mentioned that they do a lot of founder agreements, and there is a vesting schedule. There are clauses that is defined in terms of who's going to do what are the roles out there. Even in an LLP agreement, it was very interesting to build that, and it took a lot of time and a lot of back and forth in terms of how that gets built up. So there was a framework that we originally prepared, built that in an LLP agreement, and in fact, one of the clients we just closed. In fact, it's a LLP again, and they have a group of people. We've kind of defined them as key employees. We have an employment agreement with them in a separate company, so it's a different form of a structure. There are three entities together, but the investment arm that is there is that LLP. So the LLP has the vesting schedule within the LLP agreement in terms of how it's going to move forward. What happens if a founder or if that employee leaves midway? So there is a kind of a situation that is defined out there. Not very regular that you will find. It is something that we've kind of trying to build it up. But yeah, may not be possible in all situations that are there. Uh, what we do internally is obviously not go for that, but obviously have some kind of an incentive plan, appraisals, and all of that that anybody would rather want to do, and give them as much of freedom that is required. So just like one of the questions that you asked earlier in terms of how the team is important, why the team is important, and founder is very limited by the resources. Uh, Team certainly plays a very crucial role in terms of getting you head on and doing various activities for you. And in fact, they are the torch bearers of your organization. That's the best way to put it. In fact, that's what is going to define how they kind of move forward from there. but to keep them involved and give them as much of responsibility and back then in their failures. In fact, if as an entrepreneur, if we are there to kind of support them, let them fall. That's something that as an entrepreneur, it's kind of applicable all across, because I think failures is an opportunity to learn. I think it's something not just for the startups, but within the team also. If we have that culture that is built in, that if you fail, don't worry, I'm there. It's like a family that we are working together. Apart from the fancy stuff that we can do in terms of ESOP and the other stuff, I think it's more of building a culture that helps people stay along the company. So one of the cultures that at least we built in is that failure is treated as an opportunity to learn. It doesn't stop there. Even startups also, I think multiple failures, I think, will lead to a successful startup. I think they learn across the journey. There could be multiple reasons that you could fail. In spite of doing everything right, you can still fail. But what's important is that after you fall, you need to learn, stand up and walk again. I think that's the story that we try to build in, at least with our team. I think that's been helping us very well.
Absolutely. I think that that's some great tip, Lalit. So team is very important to everybody, to every entrepreneur, and treating them well, caring for them, having empathy, having compassion, and making sure you treat them as a family are very important concepts that entrepreneurs a lot of time forget to practice these concepts. If you, I was watching a couple of documentaries. All these people, whether it's like say Elon Musk or Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos, they have been jackass bosses, and they were like extremely bad bosses. Nobody wanted to work with them. Bill Gates was telling in his documentary that when he used to enter office, he used to go to lunchtime. He would go down and he has memorized the number plates of people, the car number plates, and he would say, "हाँ ये office में आया, ये नहीं आया, ये नहीं आया, ये नहीं आया." And Bill Gates was the last person to leave from the office, and he would only see his car parking in the parking lot when he used to leave from office. So, but yes, over the years, that was a different generation. 30 years back, 40 years back, different generation. You could manage to harass them and make them slog. But I think current millennial and Gen Z are looking for connection, are looking for more than a job, are looking for friendship, looking for bonhomie, looking for good work environment. Their expectations have changed over the last 30, 40 years. And today you cannot be expecting your people to work the way people have worked in the past.